special edition that we're having here today. You have a number of individuals on here. I'm going to let Mr. Marc Alexander, who has been on our podcast a few times, walk through these exceptional ladies that we've had the opportunity of seeing them all present a fantastic idea and a program that they're all doing. And so I will ask before we give to them, when you hear their projects, make sure that you look them up and figure out a way to donate. And for all of our clients and all of our contacts, we'll know if you do or not. So your bill will go up anyway if you don't. So just kidding. You're going to hear some remarkable stories. We're going to talk to them a little bit about their experiences. But with that, I will hand it over to Marc and let him do some introductions and tell you a little bit about the program. And then we want to hear from these superstars, which they truly are. So Marc, with that, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Beautiful. Mike, it is always a pleasure to be on the podcast. My name is Marc Alexander, founder and CEO of Light Rays, and also the president of the Utica Shelby Kiwanis Club. So what we did this year was we partnered with some of the dynamic entrepreneurs and investors out here in the Michigan market and said, what is the next big thing we can invest in? A lot of people would think AI, tech, software, some type of automotive, but we realized the best investment that we can make is in the future of our youth. So we said, what if we did something very crazy and put a pitch competition together for the dynamic youth here in Michigan and have them focus on some type of social impact to make sure it's sustainable. A lot of the municipalities out there here that we have an aging population. How do we keep the youth from going away? The best way to keep the youth here is to keep them invested in the state in which they stay. And that's what we did with the Kiwanis Pitch Competition. We had a statewide initiative open up to all high school students. And these are the 4 amazing dynamic leaders who made it to the finals. Of course, we have Miss Mott of I Am Coloring Book, who did a great job with her mental health focus. We have Miss Nightingale and Miss Farmer, who do a dual collaboration on Blessing the Backpack expansion. And of course, we have Miss Paul, a Project First. Now, what's amazing, everyone, is each of these projects has a very unique and specific approach. Think about some of the biggest problems we're facing out here today. And these young ladies were tackling it, from Miss Mott and Miss Farmer, who were able to do something very dynamic. Miss Farmer came from an approach with her passion when it came to food allergies and partnered with Miss Nightingale on how to expand Blessing in the Backpack. And Miss Mott, with her passion when it comes to, of course, mental health, say, I have a unique way to change the trajectory of our mental health. Then last but not least, Miss Paul asked me this question, Mr. Marc, do you not know we have the 2nd largest school district in the county and they know nothing about First? These are 4 dynamic young ladies who came in a team of 3 to put forth the best effort we have seen in a long time. So of course, thank you, ladies. It's an honor to be on this podcast with you all. And like I said, the day you hit the stage, we are very proud and impressed by all the things you have done. But this is our first of many Kiwanis pitch competitions to come. So Mike, thank you for having us on here, my friend.
Hey, absolutely. And yeah, I think, to all of you, and I'm just going to ask some general questions, but I'm going to give you a little bit of background on why each of your programs resonated. So my wife did buy one of the books. It came in the mail about a week ago, which is great. My nephew is, when he was in high school, was a big robotics competitor. And so I had told him about that. And my father and stepmom, I didn't want to tell you guys this when I met you, they run the Blessings in the Backpack Michigan organization through their foundation. So I was very familiar with Blessings in the Backpack, and I know all the good. And I had remarked, my dad has passed a couple of years ago, but my stepmom's still running the foundation that handles that. And I had teased her and said, hey, these 2 young ladies came up with a whiz-bang idea, and my dad and you kind of missed the boat on that. So what's up with that? So I got to have a little bit of fun jabbing them for you guys, beating them to the punch. So that was awesome. But so I had I really had a really good personal connection to each of your stories, and so yeah, it just once again I wanted to congratulate on that. But this will be a general question. We're going to keep it very loose. So how did you guys find the experience? Was it nerve-wracking? Was it, difficult? From your perspectives, what could you tell other people your age on, some of the bumps that you had, and then, some of the nervous moments, and just, the fun parts as well. So I'll open it up. Any of you, hopefully you all chime in, but, if you want to, just somebody want to grab the ball and answer that one, that'd be great.
I think at least for me, like, I've never experienced anything like that before. I've done debate in the past, which like was my closest thing to maybe doing a pitch, but like walking in and seeing all these entrepreneurs and big figures, I think was intimidating, but also very exciting because you're like, oh my gosh, it's all these big figures, it's all these people I want to be like someday. I think doing the pitch itself was honestly really exciting. Obviously, I was kind of nervous and things, but just knowing that the focus was on connecting with people and the fact that like at the end of the day, all of us are winners, all of us are contributing to something that's important. Like that was what made me really happy about it. And I think the best part of the Kiwanis pitch that I think makes it stick out is that it's community focused. So regardless of what pitch is going in, they're all meant to support the community and enrich everyone's experience. So for me, it was a really unique and incredible experience for sure.
Great.
I would say it's very different than anything I've ever done before because I've participated in like Destination Imagination and a bunch of stuff in elementary school. But for me, I'm more introverted, so it was really hard to like put myself out there. I was really nervous about it, but I think it was good to get out of my comfort zone. And one of the things that I think made it a little bit easier, if you will, is doing something I'm passionate about. Because I really wanted to get up there and talk about food allergies. If I had gotten up there and was going to talk about something I wasn't passionate about, I wouldn't have cared. And so I think one of the things about the pitch is you have to do something you're passionate about and you want to put your time and effort into.
Awesome. And I wouldn't have been able to tell based on you on stage that you were an introvert because you definitely didn't come across that way.
I can definitely agree with her on that because I made a joke. I was like, I'm gonna have to pretend to be my friend who's like really social and like really good in front of people. But it was definitely a little nerve-wracking because I was like, there's so many people here. But I like the fact that it was more focused on trying to make connections than try like the actual moment on stage, because that's really when the most important part was going through making connections with people. And overall, I think it was a really fun experience. It challenged me to do some things that I like kind of out of my comfort zone, but it also was really enjoyable for me as well.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'd say public speaking is also kind of out of my comfort zone, and I thought I would be nervous kind of getting up there and just looking at everybody, but I actually just kind of felt like energized, like, wow, all these people are here, like they want to listen, and like I knew what I was saying was going to be able to help like this organization in some way. So I think that was the great part about the whole pitch experience, just being able to get out there, talk about something that like you're passionate about, and just have a group of people who are really interested in what you had to say about it.
Yeah, and that's great. And like I said, we've sat through lots of people pitching ideas over the years. I mean, thousands. I wish I'm dating myself on how many people there have been, but it's you guys did such a great job. And even listening to you talk, you're very articulate, and how you deliver your answers. So your strength is in communicating your idea, and you did feel the passion for everything that all of you are doing. And that's important. I think that's one thing I would tell people that are trying to do something on their own. You don't have a safety net, so you have to be passionate about it, because there's not a lot of times where you look over your shoulder and there's somebody in back of you. You're making the decisions, you're living with the good and the bad ones, and it's really the passion helps you steer to success. And you guys are way ahead of the curve on a lot of stuff. I mean, we've seen people that are 3 times your age pitch something and it goes absolutely horrible. And they you can just tell they're not really into what they're trying to do, or there's not a real deliverable there. So with that, are you guys finding it as you go back to school? Are you getting some bragging rights? Are you talking about the successes? And I know from an introvert standpoint it's probably tough, and in all fairness, to tell our audience, I was, kind of remarking that it's really hard to talk about yourself and brag about everything you've done. But this is the time that I want you to brag about yourselves. And so, did you find when you went back to school and you talked about your experience that people look at you differently, or are you now starting to have people come up and pitch you ideas? What is that interaction with your classmates and family and everything else?
It wasn't necessarily my classmates, but I did have a lot of my friends asking me for favors suddenly, and they're like, "Hey, I know you like did really well in this competition. Can you just look over my stuff for me?" And it was kind of funny because I was like, I mean, okay, that's cool. You know what? I'll accept it. Yeah, sure.
Let me give you a rate card that you can start to hand them so you make some money, when they ask you,
Absolutely.
How'd the rest of you find it with interaction with friends and family?
It was kind of strange because I had like old teachers from like elementary school like messaging me and like talking about it, like, oh, like I heard you were doing this. So that was just kind of interesting to see like how many people like did know about this.
Yeah, awesome.
I was gonna agree. I had a couple of people who messaged me who I was like, I haven't heard from you in a long time. And they were like, what is this about? Like, how did you get into this and whatnot? And then going back to school, a couple of kids have already talked about like asking me for like, how do you get up in front of a group of people? Because it seems like one of the biggest things, or one of the biggest reasons people don't want to do it is because they don't want to get up in front of a group of people. So a lot of people are already asking me like, can you tell me how you did that? So maybe next year I can try to participate. So.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. For me, like at our school, we have like your freshman year, you have to take basically like a class on how to present and stuff, and like how to give presentations and all those kind of things. So like everyone in our school is kind of familiar with the teacher who does that. And she reached out to me for it. So for me, that was like really special, like being able to talk to her, because I used to be very shy and scared to like public speak, but being able to like credit that back to her and know that like she was who started my journey and like public speaking kind of thing was like really meaningful for me. So that was definitely like my highlight coming back to school.
Yeah. Well, and you guys each pointed out something interesting too. And the speaking part is one of the challenges. That's a barrier, because people are afraid to make a mistake. And it's, they don't teach it in school because you're always trying to achieve perfection, right? But in the business world, you're going to make a ton of mistakes. And I think, you all using your knowledge and your experience to help others is great. I mean, like you said, people are reluctant to get up and speak because, they haven't done it before. And you guys have developed skill sets that will not only help you in your business, but help you get a following. And once again, you can't do everything on your own. So your ability to take your knowledge and your experience and help others makes them stronger, but also more willing to help support you in what you're doing. And sometimes it's not directly selling, it's being able to pick up the phone and say, hey, I need some help on something, and they have a skill set that you don't, and that makes you stronger. And that's really important. And it's cool that you're getting to experience people coming to you and asking you, because that is, you're now the experts. You did it, and you did something that, I don't know how many people are in your school and class, classes itself, but you're one of one, right? Nobody else has done this pitch contest. You're all the first, and you all set kind of the pathway. Then I think you're gonna, cherish that and continue to give back, like you're doing to your projects and the organizations you're representing, but continue to give back to others. I think that's really important, and you'll find that building your network of solid people that actually are in your corner is going to make things a lot easier as you continue to go. And but I am serious. You should come up with a hourly billable to look over people's stuff. So, you might have a whole new business line there. It's awesome. So, when you guys finished and now you're off and running, what I know the pitch contest was a couple of weeks ago now. How's it been going, and are you still moving forward, or give me an update on each of the projects, on where you're at right now and some of the inroads you're making, and where you want to go with it.
And actually, I'll chime in first because I think this is going to be good for any of these amazing listeners out there who want to support. This is why I would say really support these young ladies. Not only do they have to fulfill the project, but we want them to go through the entire investment life cycle. So of course, as an entrepreneur, when you connect with an investor, you have milestones you have to reach. You have to make sure your plan is put together. It's one thing to get on stage and pitch your idea. The big thing is now executing it. So I know all the participants, they received we call it our letter of agreement, where with their projects, they send in their milestones, their timeline to get their first disbursement. Once they reach those milestones, the next month they get their next disbursement. Then of course, to send the project home, they get the last disbursement of the funds, and then they do a follow-up presentation. The reason why this is so important to those listening, these young ladies are literally building and ramping up, not just businesses, but the entrepreneur spirit within themselves. They're going to know what the entire life cycle looks like. They have what we can call a early stage exit on their projects, where they raise the money, they secured it, they reach the milestones, and they can close the business down and be good to go for those who are just the short-term projects, but they will have the entire experience. So they are going to be submitting this week their milestones, so that way they can get their nice checks next week. But very, very important to share with you guys, because these are some young ladies who are committed to it, who didn't just get up there and do an amazing job of pitching it, but actually are doing the hard work that so many people don't do behind the scenes to get the projects going. So I want to share that tidbit as you guys consider reaching out. Definitely do so.
All right. Anyone want to take that next question, following the dynamic Marc Alexander of how he articulates things much better than I do? So
Yeah, currently I'm refining my timeline. It's not completely finished because I still have a couple of logistic things to kind of figure out, but I am almost done putting that together. And then after that, I wanted to start kind of working on it, but then I'm also going through, and I have a bunch of people asking me about my business and stuff like that now. So I'm going through trying to figure out and talk to more of those people. And even like some of my friends, they'll be like, oh, I didn't know you did this. And they're starting to ask me questions. So currently I'm more so, while I'm waiting to finish my timeline, I'm more answering a lot of people's questions and drawing in more interest.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the way we kind of did the project last year when we first initiated it was starting with the open house. And the big thing with the pitch was trying to take that open house and basically scale it to a very massive level so that we could get as many teams as we could get started. So right now we're in the stages of developing that event to hopefully have end of May or early June. And from there, we'll be setting up Zoom meetings and parent meetings all throughout the summer to make sure that these teams are well developed. And by July 30th, we'll have these teams ready to go, and they'll be able to start their FLL season in August. So,
great.
And then for Ava and I, what we've been doing is we've compiled a list of our allergy-friendly foods that we want, and we're still currently getting into contact with everyone in Blessings in a Backpack. I know I've talked to Mr. Maynard, and he's given us a couple of names we need to talk to finalize the pilot program and make sure everything runs smoothly, so that we can get the food and get it ready and sorted for next school year. So that way, by the time the fall comes around, it's all sorted out by then.
Great. Yeah, fantastic. Well, here's an interesting thing that I think I'm going to ask this question, but let me put some context around it. A lot of times when we see people that are creating a business, they're doing it while they're working full time, and they're doing it on the side, and then they get big enough to where they just quit their job and they move into what they were doing. And one of the challenges is just how busy you actually get. And it sounds like you guys are starting to feel, not only are people asking you questions, but then you're having to get on a podcast too. So but you get, your time gets very thin. And I think one of the valuable lessons you guys are seeing is that transition, that juggling of very few people all of a sudden have hundreds of thousands of dollars that they walk in, they start a business and they go. I mean, it happens, but a lot of times people are starting something on the side and then it turns into a business. How are you guys finding juggling, after school activities, your schoolwork, your homework, working on the business? Now you got, basically a whole nother classroom of developing business plans and milestones, and then you're executing. Are you guys finding that a little overwhelming, or how are you juggling all that? Or what's your thoughts on all of that? And what advice could you give somebody listening that, and I'm telling you, it's not just somebody your age, it's somebody that's working full-time at General Motors, that is you in 20 years going, wow, I have this idea and I'm going to do the same thing that these, four dynamic young ladies did. But how do I juggle it? Now I got a kid, I have, full-time job, and how do you guys handle that? Or what's your thoughts on all of that?
Yeah, it's definitely a little overwhelming. I'd say time management is just like the biggest skill anyone can have. Yeah, junior year is definitely pretty hard. So I know me and Catherine, we've been meeting up on like the weekends and any free time to kind of get the ball rolling with our project.
Yep.
I piggyback off where I say the weekends are a very big key, because that's usually when there's no after school activities, and then like if you have homework, you can kind of play around with your time. So I think the weekends are a really big spot to where you can get stuff done that you couldn't get during the week.
Yeah, I'd have to say for me, what I've been using a lot is like time blocking in my calendar. So like every day, like on Sundays and stuff, I'll be like, this is my reset week. This is what I'm gonna be doing during these hours. Because I know like managing extracurriculars and stuff, like that gets like for me, robotics, like our season gets very intensive around now. So it's just been like time blocking has been a huge thing for me. And then also just like keeping my space clean and making things as enjoyable as I can while I do them, so that I get them done. But while it is overwhelming, like this is something I think we're all passionate about, and so it's something we're excited to work on. It's not like a burden or like homework or something like that. It's like something we actually want to do, and it's something we're willing to put the time and effort to, because it's something we care about so much. So I think that definitely makes it all worth it.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It was at first kind of like when it was picking up, I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna have to put more effort into it. Thankfully, most of my classes that I have are like in the morning to like afternoon. So after that, I'm free to kind of like do whatever I want. And so that kind of like fits perfectly within my schedule. And then it also allows me to, because I would spend a lot of time after school just mainly wasting it. And so it also kind of like gives me a sense of fulfillment after school. So that way I'm like, I'm doing something that's not school, but then it's also still enjoyable, and still something I can do where I can look back and be like, I'm very proud of myself because I did that today.
Yeah. Well, and I will tell you what I heard from each of you in one simple word: commitment. The commitment, because you're making sacrifices, because time is valuable, and you're making the sacrifice to do what you set out to do, and that's hard. You get challenged. People get challenged all the time. It's, oh, hey, I was going to take a vacation that week and I'm going to put the business on hold, or somebody's birthday party, and you guys have the dynamics of the same thing with having to carve out your weekends. I mean, that's a commitment. It doesn't sound like a lot. People probably watching and listening are going, yeah, it's a weekend. Well, fill up every one of your weekends actually, working. I mean, and working on something, and then all your spare time on top of everything else you have going on. And that's why you guys are super impressive. I'm going to say this 100 times over. You are absolutely exceptional and stand out from everybody and a lot of people. So I will brag for you guys, because you're not bragging enough about any one of you. It is absolutely fantastic on what you guys are doing, and in the commitment that you're putting forth, because it's rare. A lot of people don't do what you're doing, and the fact that I have 4 people on this screen, well, I'll include Marc on that too, so 5. the fact that you guys are doing that is you need to be bragged about, and as much as it's hard to brag about you, let us do it for you, because we were thoroughly impressed with everything. With that, I'll have you guys end with, what are you asking? Do you need more funds? Do you want people to, look up some of your stuff? I am going to tell the audience that each one of these projects are going to have their own little media package we're going to help them do through Impact Media and get that out there. So, but I take it not one of you is going to say no to people reaching out and writing you checks, right? So just plug yourself and give them a 30-second, here's what we're doing, and write me a check. I know this is probably the next hardest thing, asking for money, but I want you to ask for money in this.
So I'm going to set the stage for you amazing young ladies, just make it easy for you. So everyone watching this, I want you to realize we're bragging about these young women. What they mentioned in those last responses was that unique balance that so many entrepreneurs struggle to find. We see in the industry, mental health is a big focus. Burnout being a challenge of things. If you go back and listen to their response, they block out time. They're strategic in their weekends. They make sure they maximize their afternoons to have value added. These are key ingredients to a successful entrepreneur. So I'm gonna tell you right off the bat, these are things I wish I would have learned decades ago, and I would have been leaps and bounds ahead of where I am today had I been doing these things these young ladies are doing. So if you don't have your checkbooks, if you don't have your opportunity to mentor or even spotlight and highlight these young ladies, I'm going to advocate for it. So young ladies, for your ask, like you all did at your pitch, the stage is now yours.
And don't lead with $1 million.
I guess I could begin. So for my project, which is Project First, the idea is Spreading First, which is a program that stands for Inspiration, the Recognition of Science and Technology. It's a program that starts a bunch of robotics, basically kind of clubs and teams at different levels. So from kindergartners to 12th graders, there are opportunities across the board. And with my ask, I ask for any type of support, whether it be monetary donations so that we can create bigger and better events to raise awareness, or create more resources to help these two new teams, or to even put towards stipends for like the mentors mentoring the team. Or if you have experience with FIRST Robotics and you want to mentor, you want to give your knowledge towards it, that's helpful. Or if you're an entrepreneur who wants to mentor me and tell me how to walk through this process, any type of support is always appreciated. And Project First is ultimately giving back to our youth to make them educated and effective leaders of tomorrow. So thank you.
I'll say with the blessings in a backpack, so what we're doing is we're trying to give allergy students food opportunities that are equal to those who don't have food allergies, and we want them to feel included. So yes, obviously we want the money, but we also want to bring in awareness for the allergy students, because it's something that not a lot of people talked about. I remember coming out of the pitch, a lot of people talking like, I never thought about food allergies that way, or I never knew it was that dangerous. And so yes, it's about the money, but at the end of the day, we want to bring attention for the kids, because at the end of the day, it's about the kids, and we want them, and they deserve to be treated equally. We want them to just get that granola bar that they couldn't have before. We want them to feel included and to feel like they're not left out.
Yeah, and so again, with Blessings in a Backpack, it's for kids who need that extra meals and need that extra food. So especially if you have a food allergy and you're in that program, it just creates a whole other obstacle for you, which we really want to, like Catherine said, make it fair, try to get them to get the same granola bar instead of like a duplicate of one of the other items, because it's a big struggle, and so we really want to be able to help those kids.
All right, I guess it's my turn. This is perfect because I went first during the pitch. So I have an affirmation coloring book as well as affirmation cards. The main focus is children and the mental health of children as well. Honestly, any support is great, because I find when people's eyes are on me, I work a lot harder. And so that's great, because sometimes I'm kind of like, oh, but I'm tired. I don't want to do this. And so like when I have that like push, it makes it a lot easier. But I think that's about it. Yeah, I think that's all I got.
Fantastic. Yeah, no, and hopefully, yeah, and that was also a good ask. I'm always about the money. So, but yeah, you guys asked for people to provide support and input, etc. And I'm hoping with people getting your message out there and you continue to work hard, that all comes to you, and we'll continue to help, establish some contacts for you guys as well and move this forward. But with that, I want to, just thank everybody for jumping on here. I'm really excited. I was really looking forward to doing this with all of you. You were impressive there. You're impressive tonight. You're carrying that all the way through. And I want to congratulate all of you again for what you accomplished, and looking forward to being in your contact list, not Rolodex. They see I'm practicing. You can teach an old guy new terms. So I'm looking forward to being in your contact list and having some interaction as you guys continue to move forward, and we'll help you as much as we can as well. But I appreciate everything that you guys have done. You guys are inspiration to all ages, and once again, your families and friends should be putting you on a pedestal, because that's how much you guys are standing out. So congratulations again. Thank you, everybody. And Marc, thanks for putting us in the room with these young individuals, and we've enjoyed the experience.
My pleasure. And thank you, ladies, for again being those dynamic people to step up and show the world what talent we have here in Michigan.